Hi, everybody. It's Dawn coming to you today with your weekly podcast. And today's podcast is about being present. Are you present? When we are present in the moment, we can be the present. Think about that. When we are present in the moment, we can be the present. By that, I mean that when you are fully present in the moment and open and available, you are living. You are really living. You are then able to express emotions, feelings, joy, love, kindness. When we live in the past or in the future, we're not living. We are reliving or pre-planning or planning, right? But what I'm talking about here is the energy that you bring through. So think about this. If we are living in the past, ruminating over old conversations, old hurts, old pains, how are we showing up today? Are we showing up half-heartedly? Are we showing up with a suit of armor? Are we showing up with all those old stories over us, right? That's not living. That's not being present. If we want to be present, we actually need to, number one, lay down the baggage from the past. And number two, take off our armor, right? We don't have to armor up every minute of the day. When we are living in the past, armoring up to protect ourselves, we are not able to live in the moment. I once went to a wake and it was a cremation, like the church service. And my friend's grandmother had passed away. And in the church, they had a picture of her and a present. And what they said was, she is present, she is the present, and she was a present. So they were just showing all the different ways that as human beings, we are a present to each other. You know, in this instance, her grandma was the best cook in the family, right? And she loved with her whole heart and everything. So very easy to understand it in that context. Now, the other part that I said was when we are living in the future. So let's say, oh, when I get my degree, oh, when I find the man or woman of my dreams, when I have my children, when I retire, when I hit the lottery, all those things are future living. And so we're not really here because half of us is in the future, which is a real problem too. If we got part of us still stuck in the past in old stories and old dramas and stuff as well too, right? How much do you have in the present? If you're in the past or in the future or armored up, you're not in the present. So my challenge for you for this upcoming week is to be present more often. So my spirit team is telling me to communicate with you that have you ever driven from point A to point B? Like maybe it's coming home from work, the same route that you take over and over and over, right? If you've ever done that, have you ever gotten home and like, gosh, I don't remember the last 10 minutes of my ride? I mean, I'm ashamed to say it, but I took the same roads for the 15 years that I worked at a certain company and the 13 years I worked at another. I did have a same traffic pattern, right? And so many times I'd be like, geez, I don't remember going through that lane. I don't remember because I was thinking about the things that had happened during the day. Or maybe I was planning what I had to do with my kids that night, or who I had to, you know, if I was cooking dinner, what was I cooking for dinner? Where do we have to go? That kind of thing. I wasn't present. Now, I would highly suggest that if you're driving, you remain totally present, right? Really focus, because that's why we have so many accidents. But just a thought is to see how often that you can catch yourself being in the present. And what that means is that maybe tomorrow morning when you wake up, you have a conversation with someone close to you and you forget about everything else that you wanted to do for the day and XYZ, that the bills that you have to pay and you know, the phone calls you need to respond to, and you just be present with that person. Spend the 5 minutes. I'm not saying this has to be a long drawn out thing. you will start to find that when you're more present in this moment in time, that the connections get a little bit deeper because you're fully invested there. And then also when there's those aha moments, or where love is shared or joy is shared, it'll stay with you more because you fully integrated it in the present. You didn't just pick up a few pieces about it in a thought, you integrated it in the present. So be mindful of certain things that you do, especially if they're tasks, that you would do all the time, the same repetition ones. But be present, right? And a good way to start even clicking yourself into the present is take one of those mundane tasks and then really be in the moment with that mundane task. And if you're a coffee drinker, this is a really easy one to express. And the same would be for a tea drinker or whatever. But if you're a coffee drinker, there's a certain act that goes in. You're filling the water up. Then you put the coffee grounds in. Then you'll start to smell it percolating. It doesn't actually percolate, since my grandmother had a percolator, but it'll start to percolate. The smells will start to permeate the room. You'll start to smell it. When you get your cup down, you pour it into the cup. Notice the color of it. Add some creamer if you had creamer. Notice how that changes the color. Consciously stir it. Then when you go to take your first drink, hold it. Feel the warmth. Consciously notice the warmth. Take the drink. So that's a simple example of how you can be mindful in the moment, taking a simple task and breaking it down and really enjoying and being present in that moment. I just want to say that, I've seen people that do this so well. I know that for me personally, I have not often lived in the present. I've lived in the past, I've lived in the future, and a little bit of both at times. I've armored up, all that stuff. So I am suggesting to you that you try this for a week and just see how you catch yourself not being in the moment. Because then when it comes to other things, if we take the coffee example, that's a great way to notice it, observe it, feel it. But then you can start to overlay that onto other things, conversations with loved ones, playing with your children, grandchildren, playing with your animals, whatever it is, it'll start trickling down. And then I'm just going to end this podcast with a little quote from James Van Praagh, the world-renowned psychic medium, who I happened to catch a live of his last week. And he said that if you're living in the past or living in the future, you're not living. The only time you're living is when you're living in this moment in time. Now, I may have not quoted him verbatim, but that was the gist of it. So with that said, I want to wish you all a very nice week, a happy weekend. I hope you enjoy yourselves, have some fun, and please try to practice the mindfulness and let me know how it works out for you. If you want to drop me an email, you can do so at angelsinthehouse111@gmail.com, or Out of the Spiritual Closet on YouTube. You can leave a message, a chat, whatever it's called underneath there. A comment would be what it's called. So reach out to me if you tried this experiment in mindfulness and you notice something changes. So sending y'all lots of love and light today. Have a great day and weekend. Bye-bye.